So let's talk about how to pick a niche for your SMMA company. When it comes to picking a niche, it's really going to come down to a few different things. So number one, do you already have an expertise in a certain industry? If you do, that's going to be a great place to start. If you know a lot about roofing, or you worked with a roofing company in the past, then obviously roofing is going to be a good niche for you. If you know about real estate or dental or medical or med spa or restaurants, those are going to be good niches for you. If you don't have a certain business niche that you've worked with in the past, then there's a couple of other ways to determine the best fits for you. And it's probably going to be a test run of a few different ones to find the sweet spot for you. The one thing that I'll warn though, is that when you pick one, give it enough time to build and make sure that it's right for you. Because what most people do is they pick one, they give it about 30 days, sometimes even less than that, and then they abandon it and start somewhere else. And one of the key things to understand is that no matter which niche you select or niches you pick, the more that you're in it, the more value and expertise you're going to provide, which is going to make it easier for you to sell the service. The more that you understand your clientele and value you're able to give them, the better off you're going to be to pretty much position yourself as number one, an expert, but number two is somebody who really knows what they're doing and puts you in a position to be capable to make a sale. Because these business owners, they really just want to find someone that is knowledgeable in their industry and that they can trust to help them make more money. That is the end goal of all of this. Your responsibility when you work with one of these businesses is to put something in place that helps them grow their business and make more money than they're paying you. So that's your goal. And the more that you know about that business, the better off you're going to be, the better value you're going to give them, and it's going to make everything that you do more efficient, as well as it's going to be easier to sell to them. So with that being said, a couple of areas that you want to look at with niches. One of the things I like to avoid is something that already has a ton of marketers in it. You'll find that typically real estate, roofing, some of the ones that I just mentioned earlier in the video, those are going to have a lot of marketing companies already inside. And while you could still be successful with that, it's probably going to be harder for you to separate yourself and harder to get started when that is the case, because a lot of those businesses have already been burned by marketing companies and they're going to be a little bit more leery about working with you, especially if you're new. The key thing to look at in a niche, if you don't already have one you have experience in, is one, how saturated is it? And two, when you're looking into it, how many businesses are actually in that niche? Because you want to have enough businesses that you can prospect to many of them without going through them in a short period of time. So if you have a niche that only has 5,000 businesses, there's a good chance you're going to go through those businesses pretty quick if you're prospecting effectively. That's probably going to be a bad option for you. So you're trying to find a kind of a sweet spot between a niche that has a lot of businesses, but also can be really niched down and isn't saturated. And that could be sometimes a niche within a niche. You know, I would research areas if you don't already have an industry that you have business in already, that you just know there's a lot of businesses available for it and they need help. Most business owners need help. Pretty much any industry. Some good examples of industries that aren't super saturated would be something like pressure washing, an industry inside of an industry, as I mentioned. Places that need help don't have a ton of marketers already in them. And another cool way to kind of research this, I'll have some stuff in for you that kind of goes a little bit deeper for this, but you can actually look at current like Facebook ads if you're offering that and get a feel for what kind of ads are being run. And you'll notice a lot of times whether there's a lot of marketers in there already or not, or if there's a lot of business owners running their own ads. And that's usually a good starting point if you're running Facebook ads. You go right into Facebook ad library and do some research there. You can also use D7 Lead Finder. I'll talk about that as well in other videos that you can use to get lists, and that'll give you an idea of just how many businesses there are in total with the niche that you're selecting. You know, gyms is another one that's probably saturated, right? So the most common ones are typically going to be saturated. Again, you could use those, but you'll have some challenges early on. Just understand that you'll have to navigate those challenges if you select one of those niches. That's the bad part. The good part about selecting one of those niches is that there are plenty of people who have made it work, which means so can you. So you'll have examples in front of you of good ad copy, people who have been successful that you sort of can replicate to get customers in. And this just really depends on your goals and how many customers you're trying to bring in. Some of you may only want a handful and you'll find success in that. If that's the case, then go with something like gyms or something more saturated because you're not looking for that many customers. But if you're trying to build, a high 6-figure, 7-figure marketing company, it's either going to take you more time in those industries or you're going to find one that doesn't have a lot of people in it that you can grow pretty quickly. And that's up to you and your preference. So get something, stick with it, get comfortable, and understand that the longer that you find yourself in it, the more value and the more successful you're going to be. So pick a couple, test them out, do your research, and then try and find one or two that you know that you're going to be willing to stick with. And again, I would suggest if you already have some knowledge in one, to probably start there because you'll already have a head start on somebody who doesn't. If you don't have that, that's okay. Do your research, find one that fits for you, that you can provide the most value to, depending on the service that you're offering.